Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah, and today we are going to be diving into two very different things. I'm going to be talking about the announcement from The Bachelorette, which was announced on the Call Her Daddy podcast, but also early this morning on the major publications like Us Weekly, People, but we're going to be talking about Taylor Frankie Paul, like I said, being announced as the Bachelorette. We're going to talk about her interview on Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper and some of the thoughts that I have about Taylor being the Bachelorette in general, the Bachelor franchise, and some of the things that were said there. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we are going to be talking about the Cut article from January about Kendra Lakari, the sicko mother from Unknown Number, the latest documentary on Netflix, which, if you haven't watched, honestly, lucky you, because the whole thing was very disturbing. Now, I haven't been live in some time. I've also been off my game with YouTube. I took some time off, went on a little vacation. So if you're sitting here in the live, please like the live. If you're listening later on Spotify, reminder to give this podcast 5 stars if you feel so inclined. And also get yourself a water, get some hot tea like I have, and let's get ready to talk about Taylor Frankie Paul. Now, in general, how do I feel about Taylor Frankie Paul announced as the Bachelorette? I feel like this is a very out there pick, and I almost felt like, okay, are we being punked? And the reason behind that is because Taylor had been joking about this prior on her TikTok. Last year, I had said the Bachelor franchise is so dead. If they're going to try to bring it back, I foresee them casting some sort of celebrity. And then fast forward, here we are. I think it's strange. I think it's strange for several reasons. I think it's strange because I can tell that the Bachelor franchise's health is not doing so well. They tried to make massive changes to Bachelor in Paradise this season. I didn't watch, so I can't say whether or not those worked, but I can say that they're evaluating certain parts of things and doing things differently. Now, what's interesting about Taylor being chose for Bachelorette is that typically in the Bachelor franchise, in case you're unfamiliar, they pick someone who was typically a fan favorite from a prior season. So typically it's somebody who's integrated in the process of The Bachelor. They've done it before, they know how rose ceremonies work. And for Taylor, things are going to be completely different. The flip side of that is Taylor is coming from another Hulu Disney show, Secret Life of Mormon Wives, and she does have experience with reality TV, with production, with being in the spotlight. So Taylor has like a little bit more experience in the whole being a lead department because of how she was positioned on the Secret Lives franchise. So I think that both of those things are interesting. Now, knowing Taylor and my familiarity with from Taylor comes from watching the show. I'll be honest, I didn't know about Mom Talk. I certainly wasn't scrolling Mom Talk prior to Secret Life of Mormon Wives. But I think, and especially after listening to this interview, which we're going to recap in just a moment, I think that this is a bad decision for Taylor. In fact, I almost can't think of like a worse decision. And that's for several reasons. She grew up Mormon. She grew up raised Mormon. And despite like what her relationship with that religion may be, that's how she grew up. She was encouraged to date to marry. So the first person that she presumably ends up dating, she ends up marrying this guy and having children with him. Then you fast forward, they have a toxic divorce, which comes to fruition after the swinging scandal. After their divorce, she gets with Dakota, who was recovering from a problem with substance abuse. So then she's with Dakota, and then they have a child together. It's going from one very serious relationship to another. Her first relationship ended in marriage and a child. Her second relationship ended in a child. So then to go on a show like The Bachelor, where the end goal is to get engaged, I just feel like that's another large commitment for her to throw herself into. Ideally, Taylor Frankie Paul right now, in my opinion, she should be processing either being single, what she means to herself, having time alone, how she's dealing with fame, and is that making any changes in her personality? What does it look like to co-parent right now, with both of the fathers of her children? Like, in theory, I think that for her mental health and all of the trauma that she experienced, not only from her first relationship, but from her second relationship, and then we find out through this interview, trigger warning, pregnancy loss, that she's also had miscarriages. It just seems like Taylor has been in very high stakes relationships and had a lot going on to then be thrust into this environment. I don't feel like it's conducive to like this where she should be going next. And that's not to shame her in any capacity. Like, if I didn't care about people as individuals, I'd be like, well, great, she's Bachelorette. But just thinking about things like as an empath, this isn't going to be great for Taylor. And either that or viewers can rest assured that, and she sort of says this in this interview, right? That she likes the fact that things could end in an engagement because an engagement is not marriage. So there's the opportunity to break things off. Now, I'm sure that producers over at ABC were cringing when she said that, because what the Bachelor franchise likes to do is make it seem like whoever you end up with at the end is your end all be all. If you get engaged on the show, they want to pitch this idea of happily ever after, of not returning your ring to, who is it that he comes every time? Is it Michael Kors? Is it Jared Jeweler? I don't know. He comes every single season. They pitch this idea that after you get engaged, things are forever. And we see people sometimes even last like a couple of years before they split away. Other times we don't see that. But Taylor being like, yeah, I mean, like, it's just ending an engagement. I feel like I said, the producers were like cringing because that's not how they perceive things, unless the show is starting to go in a more reasonable direction. I think that part of the reason that The Bachelor is so unappealing is because the formula hasn't changed in for so long. Like, how many times are we going to watch people jump into a marriage or jump into an engagement, especially with the state of the world right now? That just doesn't really seem safe. That's my thoughts. That's my preliminary thoughts. Let's get into, I'm going to play a couple different parts of the interview. Because this is Alex Cooper, I'm sure we will run into quite a few commercials along the way. So just bear with me. I want to start out with Taylor's decision to accept being Bachelorette.
If I want to, I can. You can do anything you want if you want. And it comes down to that. So I was just like, I will make it work. I have a team of people that I don't think I utilize. Like, I can have them and, help. I can ask for help more and I don't, usually, but I came to a point where I cannot do all of this alone. So, I hired on my family assistant, nanny, and I was just like, we're going to do it.
I mean, it is such a huge opportunity.
And so what they're discussing right now is her decision to take on the lead as Bachelorette, and what she's going to do with her children because she's a mother, the co-parenting situation, all of those things.
And I also recognize that the double standards of being a woman and a mom versus being a man and versus being a father. Yeah. It's like the dads get to just go and everyone's like, oh, he's like thriving. And if a mom ends up doing something for herself, it's like, there is a double standard of like, you're such a bad mom. Mm-hmm. How could you do this? So I do appreciate you sharing that there's like a lot of conversations that had to be had in order for you to think about taking this journey with yourself, because it also involves your family.
Yes.
What was your family's reaction when you told them?
Also, I think very like shocking. It took a minute for people to actually like, is this an idea or are you getting it? It was the same thing. Like, and I think once we saw all the roses and whatnot, then it was like, oh, and they're all like,
I felt the same way. Like, I felt like this was like a joke. Like, this almost just doesn't, and I don't mean that to be like disrespectful or unkind, but this just feels like, this doesn't feel like The Bachelor. Also, Taylor Frankie Paul, like, she's not like an unknown in a reality show before. Like, she was a lead of her own on another show. She's also known for being like very reactive and says her opinions and very uncensored, positively uncensored, LOL. So as far as that working for them and production, I just have lots of questions about that.
Excited. My mom was like, I think this is a great opportunity. This is something so new for me.
Her hometowns will probably be very interesting. She talks about later in this interview how her parents have sort of looked at their behavior, especially after the barbecue scene, and they've changed the way that they approach her, that they're a lot more gracious and graceful with her. But I have a feeling that things are going to be interesting at Taylor's house during hometowns. If her brother is there, he's a hater of Taylor. Okay. She needs to keep him away and make sure that her sister is there front and center.
Because obviously I got married young, divorced, and then the first guy I met was the next relationship. So I have not done the whole meeting new people out the same, like dating.
And this is exactly why I think that experience is a horrible idea. She jumped from one very serious relationship to another very serious relationship. And then now she's seeing this as an idea to date a number of people, but that's not what this is. This isn't like organically go on a dinner date with somebody, organically, date other people and feel like you have the ability to not see someone for a second date if you don't want to. This is producers' hands are involved. They're going to have people that they would like to keep for longer for various reasons, as they do every season. There's going to be a problematic fave that producers have because they're good for drama that normally, Taylor, you wouldn't go on another date with. And it's not factoring in guys are already coming on looking for a chance at celebrity, a chance of stardom as a way to transition outside of whatever career they are to something more lucrative and in reality television or in entertainment. If you add on the fact that Taylor has her successful show of her own and she talks about how she wants her partner to be involved in her content because that's her job, it's a hell of an offer to somebody who's looking for fame. Exactly. She's also openly a Trump supporter. Exactly. So it's many things. It's many things.
At the same time, I don't know, you know how The Bachelor works. You're dating, right? Like several people. And so I've never done that. So that will be new to me.
You've never had a roster.
No.
You're gonna have
Not slut shaming, not judging. We listen and we don't judge. But I do think that Taylor had a little bit of a roster, right? Like a little bit of a roster. You were involved in a swinging circle. Like objectively, there was a little bit of a roster going on there in that situation.
the biggest roster.
No.
Is it registering to you yet?
No, how do people do it? That's what I've been asking. Because I've been asking guys, like, how do you guys do it? I know you guys like date girls, and I've had flings, sure, when I was younger, but I'm like, this is like different. Like, do you not feel bad? Like, that's gonna be really hard for me. Like, make hurt people's feelings. Like, what if you do like two people?
Let's go forward a little because there was a part where she talks about, she confirms that she's still going to be on Secret Life of Mormon Wives, even though she's doing lead of Bachelorette, which makes sense to me and was never up for debate in my head because Disney owns both of them. Disney owns Hulu. Hulu produces Secret Life of Mormon Wives. Hulu is the platform that posts the Bachelor episodes. So I'm not surprised that they're going to keep her and use her in multiple platforms across their show. What I'm curious about is if this opens the door for the leads of The Bachelor to now be delegated or relegated, whichever word it's supposed to be, to like successful reality stars. Because if that's the direction that we're going in, I don't want that. I said go back to when they casted The Bachelor, like putting out a nationwide casting call. I'm sort of sick of them picking fan favorites because that also encourages coming on just looking for fame or just looking for an opportunity to come on Bachelor in Paradise. If the guys don't know that that's an opportunity. Oh my God, Taylor's face. Then they don't know. Okay. Oh my God, I told you. Didn't I say this is Alex Cooper's podcast? I guarantee we're going to get a fair number of commercials. Boom. Absolutely accurate. But yeah, I basically think that if the guys have the opportunity to further their career off of Taylor, this is absolutely going to incentivize that. And it was already an issue anyways. And I think that if we start casting social media people instead of just casting like regular people from their jobs, I think that that's going to lose its luster.
He showed up though on this season.
Okay, going back to your original question, like I did tell him, I was like, when he got here, I was like, oh, by the way,
I'm so glad that you brought this up, Cece, because I'm seeing in the chat, just in case you're listening on Spotify, not to be that person, but if Taylor was a Black woman or a Latina woman with 3 kids and 2 baby daddies, absolutely. Absolutely. It would be beyond a different story. The audience's perception, their reaction to her, even the decision to select her as a lead, it would be an absolutely different story. And it's a lot of white privilege that goes into Taylor being perceived the way that she is. Rachel Lindsay was a lawyer from a well-off Jack and Jill family and still was treated like trash. Absolutely. True. And The Bachelor in general has major issues with casting POC. Absolutely. They have major issues with casting POC and Black women specifically, Black men as well. We'll save that conversation for another time when I have a friend on, but there's also other things that we can notice about The Bachelor and how they cast.
Bachelorette, and he was just like, oh, like that's like there's no feelings there, so it's like cool. And then he obviously he was like, oh, I think
okay, I forgot to explain what clip I'm playing. Let me give the context. A lot of people who follow Taylor, I'm not like I'm not keeping up with Taylor, but I saw on a Reddit thread that people were questioning, didn't Taylor just soft launch a relationship? And so in this part, she's addressing, because she posted a picture with a guy, that no, she didn't really soft launch. Like, she just thought it was funny to confuse people. But the interesting thing about Taylor is that, like, she just tells on herself, like, as she's allowed to talk for longer, like, no, it's not. Like, when she says it's not a soft launch, I thought that it was funny. I like to confuse people. And she's like, I barely know him. We've only met 2 times. She continues to talk about this guy for longer. And then by the end of it, she's like, he said he'll be waiting for me after I finish The Bachelorette if I don't find anybody. It's just like, Taylor, I want Taylor to be less male centered, and going on The Bachelor is not exactly conducive with that. Like, if that's making sense.
I was like, would you ever do it? The next time he came, I was like, would you ever do that? Come on in. He's like,
now she's talking about how the guy who she's saying that she did not soft lunch, it was just a joke. She likes to confuse people. That she asked him, would you ever do it though? Would you ever come on The Bachelor? So you're like, I'm sorry. You're basically like letting us know that you're going to be cast as the lead. You were dating a guy right before. Then producers probably told you you can't be dating that guy or posting that. Now you're denying it. But you're also telling us that you asked him if he would ever come on The Bachelor. Like, that's like very much setting up your own story. Like, what are we watching here? What are we watching here? I just thought that this was really weird. And again, I don't mean to be a hater. It's not even that I don't dislike Taylor Frankie Paul by all purposes, aside from the fact that she's a Trump supporter. If I'm looking at the cast, who's also mostly all Trump supporters, sometimes she bothers me one of the least.
I don't really want to date on like reality TV. Like, he's just like a good soul. And for me, all my friends were like, green flag, green flag. The fact that he didn't hop onto that.
Right. That he wasn't like, oh, sign me up. Tell the producers to put me on.
Yeah. It was like, he said, go do your thing. You know, if you meet someone, we weren't meant to be. And if not, like, maybe I'll be here.
Taylor, producers won't like this. And I'm actually shocked because I really thought that a producer would more than likely be sitting there with Taylor as they're filming this. At the very least, I would think production has to be either zoomed in or sent this after. But I'm just shocked. Maybe Alex Cooper has enough pull for her people to be like, yeah, actually, we're not editing that out. That's paramount to the story that we're trying to tell. But I was shocked that all of this was kept in, because again, if you've been in Bachelor Nation for a while, this is so opposite of how things typically go. They want you to feel like the person has basically never dated before, unless it's the Golden Bachelor, in which they're like, oh, yeah, like feel bad for this like widow who's living without their spouse and wants a second chance on life. Like for the other seasons of The Bachelor, they pretty much want to make it seem like the past doesn't exist.
And I'm like, oh, you're like mature.
Okay, I can't help but be like, why do I want him to like come halfway through and crash the season and show up?
Okay, so I did have that thought. I was like,
Alex is so fake. Like, would you really want that? Because as a viewer and as a reality TV lover, I would hate that. If a guy that you already knew comes on, that's actually like Shelly and Ace just got dragged for that on Love Island. Thank you, Cece, because Shelly and Ace just got dragged for seeing each other outside of a club before and liking each other's posts on Instagram. But Taylor's going to get to just like insert the guy that she was already technically dating on the show at the end. Also, the fact that she's like preliminarily planning that she's not going to have any connections towards the end. I know that Taylor Frankie Paul fans are going to be like extremely upset with me. I'm not trying to rake her over the coals, but parts of this interview, as someone who's watched The Bachelor for a long time, I'm shocked that they're letting air.
Like, okay, so he has all these high, so at least I know that there's a good guy there, and it's like maybe I do meet someone and that wasn't meant to be, but like let's just say I don't like anyone, because I asked that. I was like, well, what if I don't find someone? Like, how does this work? Like, do I like, well, if you don't find someone, you don't find someone, that's that. And so if let's say we're down the line, I'm like still not feeling it, then I was like, would you be open to it? And he's like, if it's at the very end and you still had your mind on it, then yeah, I'd be open to it.
I think though what's exciting,
like the way you're Taylor, honey, you're spoiling the season. You're spilling the beans, babe. You're telling on yourself.
exciting for you, Taylor, is like you just said, because I've been there. When you have only had like 2 serious relationships truly, and you get out and you have the mindset like, I'm about to start dating. At first, it's terrifying because understandably, we're all our own worst enemy. And we're like, oh my God, I'm going to be so awkward. And like, how do I like flirt and how do I be cool and whatever? But then when you start to find your groove, you
Stop. Cece, thank you. Paying Tides. Love your channel. Watch every live stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting with me. And thank you for the super chat. You were too kind. Toya, hello. I see you sneaking in. Hello. I wish it showed me everybody who was sitting in here so I could greet everybody, because more than likely the 10 of you who are watching with me right now, which by the way, 10 feels like a great number to me. Some people are probably like, oh my God, that's so sad. Like she has 10 people on. No, 10 is great for me. 10 is great. And also 10 feels like I'm sitting with my close friends. It feels like this is a friend panel. So hello and welcome. And Star, thank you for being here as well.
It's like fun and you actually enjoy yourself. And then you start to be like, wow, I have
like Alex Cooper would agree with the wall. She's just sitting there being like, oh my God, it's like so fun for you to be able to like date somebody like right after getting out of 2 serious relationships. I think that this is like the perfect thing for you. Alex, no, you don't. You're not even a natural blonde. You're a redhead. You don't think that.
these options and I can do whatever I want to do. And so as much as it's exciting with him, I love that you were like, I just realized there's a nice guy out there that has like green flags. What a
I can tell that Alex is trying her absolute best to steer this in a different direction and be like, it's just lovely that you like basically could have been in a relationship, but you decided that you wanted to go on a show and explore 30 guys instead. Like,
concept. And I have a feeling that when you get to the mansion, you're going to find a lot of those and you're going to be like, wait a second, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
I don't think that. I have a major feeling that that is not what she's going to feel like. Let's move ahead to Taylor talking about the close of her and Dakota's relationship, because that is a little bit of a sneak peek that she gives us before both the next season of Secret Life of Mormon Wives, but also like obviously, right? Like obviously, like if she's being chose as the lead for The Bachelorette, like I don't know. It's actually bothering me, the fact that Secret Life of Mormon Wives and The Bachelor is produced by the same company, because the two of you are working way too hard to platform this woman. That's what it feels like. I'm sorry.
Ex Dakota this past season.
Mhm.
I'm assuming going on The Bachelorette means that you two are done for good.
Yeah. Yes.
It's over.
It's over. And we'll see that play out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who made the final call to end it?
I did.
So you officially think it's over with him?
I don't think. I know.
Okay.
Yes.
When was the last time that you guys hooked up?
Let me think on that one, actually.
You're like, Alex.
It's like,
As an empath, I hate this for her. Like, let it be over, babe. Let it be over. If it's over and he's done things that are irredeemable, I mean, I don't know, everybody's got to get laid, right? But like, if he's done things that are irredeemable to break your trust, a part of me feels like continuing to give him access to you, even if it's at your request, is too much. It's giving him too much. Like, and again, I understand that she's the one who might be saying like, come over. But again, you're not in as much of a power position as you think you are. That's how I perceive the situation sitting here about to be 31.
sweating. You're like,
Like, is this call her daddy? Where am I? What's happening?
no, I can't remember at the top of my head, to be honest.
Stagecoach?
Oh, yeah, that might have.
So obviously they slept together pretty recently. Going forward, Taylor talks about what her plans are during fantasy suites. And on one hand, happy for her because what I just talked about.
Keratin
On the other hand, I'm like, this is going to be boring AF as a viewer, because in fact, there's nothing I hate more than when we have a lead, because I'm nosy. I don't deserve to know this, but I'm nosy. I hate when we don't know what happens inside the fantasy suites. I hate it. Tell me what happened.
No, because obviously it's no secret that this is a short-lived process. So I do want to take that time. Again, it's going to be my third serious relationship. I have children. It is a lot more serious rather than some, like, I'm not a young girl just dating and like it's not going to be like that for me. It just isn't. And that's okay. But I would still want to get to know that person, and the engagement. Yeah, I obviously I can see it, because to me, if something were to come up that is alarming, you can break it off, but it's not a full-on marriage where you're going through divorce and whatnot. And then also there's that time to grow and get to know him, and then even have you
See, the producers, they're going to hate that. The producers are absolutely going to hate that. Even this alone, House of Woo, if she was a Black woman cast as their lead, I feel like this even enough, even though despite the fact they already announced her, they may have changed things. Like, they may have changed things out after this interview because of the level of expectations to be so much better and make no mistakes that they hold for Black women.
it's even more beautiful because it's a story, and then you get married, so it can go both ways. But I'm a very honest person. I'm going to say it as it is, like, and I'm only going to do it if it's the right person.
What is something in the past?
I think producers are going to try to manipulate Taylor a whole lot more than she's anticipating. We just watch Ace think that he was ready, having his experience with Jennifer Hudson, having his experience with having a large following. Like, we just watched him think that he was ready to go on to Love Island and then sort of be faced with the production and how they do things. Now, maybe because Taylor is a lead for one of their other shows, maybe there's a different way that they'll be doing things, but I'll be interested to see.
Like, it was too much back to back. So I got divorced. I had it go public. I had a miscarriage. I had another miscarriage. So for me, it was a lot of like my own decisions, and then some were not my own. Like, obviously losing, having two miscarriages back to back was not my decision, right? Like, and then so that is postpartum. I'm in postpartum, and so I felt like, you're right. I just have a lot going on. There's a lot of trauma here. I need to work.
And this is exactly why the Bachelorette is not conducive. Like, just as a bystander, not pushing any type of agenda, not pushing anything. Taylor shouldn't be on the Bachelorette because she has a lot of trauma that she needs space and time to heal from, process from, and jumping into another relationship, especially with somebody who you don't know their intentions, but jumping into another relationship immediately, that's not a good idea. Nor is continuing to see Dakota in any type of manner outside of co-parenting. Outside of co-parenting.
Work through this. It was always like, I believed that I'm feeling off because I'm scared. There's just so much back to back that I'm not in my right mind is what I felt like. And so for me, I was almost convinced like everything's okay. You're just scared because you've been through so much pain. And so I believed that. And so I'm like, you're right. Over time, I can heal this. We can do it. And it's great. And boy,
and there are so many pieces to what she's saying that are so relatable, right? Like, I think that that's an experience that people have. And I think that what Taylor might realize when she's older, but is coming up for me now is it's a lot easier for her to convince herself in relationships that she's a problem or that she should continue to keep trying in that relationship when she has parents who quite literally take the other person's defense in an argument. Like, I think how Taylor got to who she is as a person right now makes a lot of sense, but it's up to Taylor, like what she's going to do with the things that her parents taught her. And as we talked about in the beginning of this, she's a Trump supporter. So does that mean that I don't have empathy for her? No. That's not what that means. But it means that she might not have empathy towards other women who are going through a pregnancy. That's what that might mean, being honest. Another commercial, and then I'm only going to say 2 more things about this podcast episode, and then I'm going to get into Kendra in the Cut article, which I paid $1 to read. So naturally, we're going to read together.
Nerve me out. So that'd be a hard one. If my mom's hating him, I probably would not.
Are you planning on introducing your kids to any of the men?
I would like to. I thought about this, and I think the last runner-ups, I don't know if it's like a 2 or 3, how it ends up for me, but yeah, I think that's very important. I want to see how they interact with kids. I want to see if they all kind of vibe or if they even like it, or are they comfortable, or is this like, oh.
I do feel like I understand why she would want to do an introduction. A filmed introduction might be a lot for her kids, but I'm not their parent. She is. But I understand why she would want her partner that she's going to meet her children. I'm not so sure about needing to see their interaction if you already know who you're going to pick and then bringing home 2 other men. Like, Leah, I'm not sure about that. I think that you could see what their behavior is with your child after the fact, because again, like Taylor said, like she feels like an engagement is still, like, there's still time. Like, it's non-committal. Like, they're getting engaged on the show, but they're still going to be dating and getting to know each other afterwards. So with that being said, I feel like she could introduce the guy who she decides to be with after the show and like vibe that out. However, like I said, I also understand the other point of what she was saying. Let's see what she says about her parents and the infamous family barbecue.
I don't need their approval. I would want them, obviously, I want their advice on it, but no, if I fall in love with someone and they're like not obsessed with him, it's not up to them. So I hate to say it, but they're not the ones who have to end up with it's me. And my mom always says that we're not the ones who end up with them. It's your choice. And so I like that, even if they're not fans. But obviously, looking at my past, maybe I should listen to my parents too.
Okay, well, last season on Secret Lives of Mormon
I don't think you should.
Wives, your family barbecue, we watched your parents essentially side with your ex, Dakota, a little bit. How has that impacted the way that you share your personal life with them?
It actually grew our family closer together.
This is what makes me sometimes think that I shouldn't watch reality TV. I know that it's too parasocial. I know it's not my business. I know that they're not characters, but that just pisses me off. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, I get it. To be fair, I've always said reality TV is sort of a mirror for to reflect back how you treat people. But your parents seemed toxic, okay? And there was a lot of deep rooted reasoning as to why they approached that situation without care, so much toxicity and so much misogyny, and it's because that's the way that they feel, that's the way that their political views are, that's the way that their faith is, that's the way that their life is structured and set up. So to act as if it wouldn't happen again, the situation couldn't recreate itself, or to just give them the grace of saying, well, at least now, I just kind of hate that, and I get it. It's her family. So she's probably not going to sit up there and talk about them. I also think her mother was sitting here in the room, like during this interview. But again, as somebody, this is like part of what struggles to watch reality TV because and I felt this way about Secret Life of Mormon Wives, watching Jen Affleck with her husband as well. There are some times where people's decisions, I feel this way about Amanda Batula and Kyle on Summer House. There are some people's decisions, relationships, people that they allow to keep in their life that I just it can elicit both anger and so much annoyance from me that I just have to completely put it out of my mind and be like, I don't give a fuck. That's your choice. That's your decision. Do it, get hurt, don't do it, do whatever. And that's how I feel about Taylor and her parents and pretty much all of her decisions. But I will say it does annoy me to another level to watch, which is also probably a good transition to my next topic, which is how naturally all of us felt watching Unknown Number. If you didn't watch Unknown Number, lucky you, right? Unknown Number was the new Netflix documentary about 13-year-old slash 14-year-old Lauren from a small city in Michigan who was being severely harassed and bullied via text message, as well as a couple of other students at her school for a number of months. In summation, in total, a total of 22 months, almost 2 years. And at the end of the story, we find out that it's not another 12-year-old, it's not another 13-year-old, it's not a teacher, it's in fact her mother. And another good example of what I was just talking about in terms of like the anger that I feel. Lauren's a child. So her feelings of shock, of complex confusion because this is her mother, okay? All of those things, yeah. But I needed one person to rage in that documentary. And I don't know, potentially throw a fist through the wall, throw something across the room, call the mom a dumb fucking cunt bitch. Probably going to get this video demonetized for that. I needed more anger, more passion, more energy, more footwork, more anger. I needed more anger because this situation was so disgusting and so diabolical that I mean, easily Kendra would have got the backhand. Easily, at the bare minimum, at the bare minimum. I never think a man should put his hands on a woman. I don't think so. In that same breath, if I'm the dad, I don't see a world in which I'm finding this out that you did this to the daughter. And let's just assume that I was a good dad too, present, trying to get to the bottom of this, going to work, trusting, okay. My wife did this to our daughter. I mean, there's not a world, and maybe it's because I'm sitting here as a woman, but I'm grabbing Kendra by her hair and dragging her the fuck out of that house. You are being There's no hugging. There's no wrapping your arms around her to console her right now. There's get the fuck out of here. I don't know who made you think you'd ever be safe to see her again having done this, but get the fuck out. I mean, I genuinely would be so moved beyond anger that I would have went to prison. Especially if I was a man, I would have went to prison. And again, I want to make it very clear, I do not think that physical violence is ever appropriate. Nobody should ever be physically violent. Men, you are pussies if you put your hand on a woman. Kendra, I would have dragged you by the hair out of that fucking living room. Wouldn't have hit her, dragged her out by her hair. There's a special section of hell for Kendra Lakari. And we're gonna find out more, I guess, in this cut article. So basically, Kendra was the bully, and what's so disgusting, the messages that she sends are so volatile. She sends them to her child. She impersonates another child at the school who was, to be fair, a bully. Chloe is a bully, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But she impersonates another child, showing so many signs of sickness, and not sickness as in like, I'm giving her a reason to have done this. Like, she's evil. She's evil. Nothing behind her eyes. Black soul. You are evil. You have the spirit of a man. And what I mean by that is men are predators, and men can be as carnal or carnivalistic as like she was. Like, you are a predator. You are a wolf in a T-Rex's clothing because you are so fucking ugly. Like, everybody who said she looks like Quasimodo, you won't hear one nice thing from my mouth about Kendra. I don't care if she's a woman. I don't care if I respect other women. You won't hear one nice thing. And on top of it all, she's ugly as sin. She's ugly as sin. So let's get into the article. Again, I have not read this, so we will be reading this together. I do have up, like this is at the top of it. Let's read some of the text messages together. Trigger warning for virtually anything that there could be a trigger warning for. Things surrounding your body image, things surrounding SA, things surrounding unaliving yourself. Trigger warning for virtually anything that could be triggered. You are anorexic body ain't worth shit. He never come back to you. He never talk to you again. He want you to fucking stop. You will be crying every day. We could fucking care less. He never come back to you. He didn't even talk to you. Get the point. He hates you. Now we ruin your life. You fucking did this. Now we ruin your life. We all hate you. You fucking suck. You're the fucking reason JV lost. And you only went in varsity game. We losing. You didn't do shit. You fucking suck. Proved it again. Only one of you got voted on homecoming court. This is epic! Exclamation point. Friday will be, in all capitals, epic when it's announced. The look on your faces watching one of you with your arm around another person, holding hands and being all adorable, smiling, flirting, and posing. Could this be the end of the AKA golden relationship, golden couple, with the relationship everyone idolizes? She sounds like Trump. She sounds like Kendra's text messages alone. Lock her up. Lock her up and keep her there. And again, I don't want to be like, I'm sorry. If you're listening to my podcast by now, then you appreciate the fact that I point out the parallels between society, gender, class, race, reality TV, the shows that we watch. Kendra Lakari would be in prison for the rest of her life if she was a Black or brown woman. This entire situation reeks of so much white privilege. Kendra, first of all, I'm going to be very honest. And if this is inappropriate, then know that I'm saying it with the intention of getting a message across. This entire situation, if it was done by a Black or brown family, the entire reaction from society in this documentary, especially from white women, would be so different. If Kendra was a Black woman and Lauren was her daughter who was Black, the audience response would be adultifying her. She knew it. I know she knew it. She helped her mom. She sent these texts to herself. The reaction would be so different that, like, part of that has been insufferable to consume this entire case. Maybe that's something that's like maybe that's a unique experience. Maybe I'm the only person that has thought that. I'm sure that I'm not, but watching it, it's just bothering me. And I understand that that's not the point of this documentary, but it's a point that keeps coming up for me because as I'm covering it, I just can't get over how different the entire situation would be perceived if it was any different. So the article is entitled, Who Was Cyberbullying Kendra Licari's Teen Daughter? Parents and school officials were stumped. The culprit was under their noses all along, by Lauren Smiley. Let me take a sip of my tea. Before we get into this, I am going to be reading the full article for you. So if you don't want to hear that, I completely get that. Or if you're driving and you like to hear that, turn it up, Sheena Shea. One afternoon in January 2022, the parents of two freshmen at Beale City High School in Central Michigan gathered in the principal's office. They were there to discuss the texts, vicious anonymous messages flooding the phones of their children, Ashley Licari and Owen McKenney, sometimes 30 a day. Wait, Ashley? Was it not Lauren? Ashley? Hold on. I could have, okay. Ashley. Was it Ashley Lauren Licari? And she went by Lauren. That's confusing to me because in my notes, I have referenced her as Lauren this entire time. I was of the impression that her name was Lauren. I guess I'll look in the comments at a later time to see if I'm misremembering things. Ashley Licari and Owen McKenney, sometimes 30 a day. The messages would arrive at any hour and no one knew who was sending them. Although they were sent to both Ashley and Owen, they mostly targeted Ashley. I cannot get past the name change. Okay. The cyber bully seemed to know exactly how to pick at her insecurities. The text mocked her thin frame, calling her an anorexic toddler with a little tyke's body, and slammed her ability on the basketball court. Ashley and Owen dated in middle school, but had broken up in the fall of freshman year, and the bully told Ashley that Owen was now trashing her behind her back and flirting with other girls. The bully described in detail the sexual moves they would do with him. One message included a homecoming photo of Ashley with a vomiting emoji pasted over her head and the words skank and hoe plastered in red on her body. In a group thread, the text later asked Owen to help Ashley down and told her that Owen had said, his life would be better if you were dead, and no one will care if you are gone. At the meeting, Ashley's mother, Kendra Lakari couldn't stop crying. Spare me. Spare me, Kendra, you crazy hoe. The superintendent and sheriff were there too, but Owen's mother, Jill McKinney, did much of the talking. She hoisted hundreds of pages of text transcripts from a Staples box and passed them around. The sheriff thumbed through the pages. Ashley sometimes texted back feistily, but at other points she would plead, I honestly cannot take this anymore and will do anything you want if you will please stop. The texters seemed to know a lot about what Ashley and Owen were doing at the school. They knew what shirt Ashley was wearing on any given day and how many basketball points she had scored. LMFAO, 2 points, you suck. The bully knew Owen had removed the phone case Ashley had given him as a gift, and they tracked his whereabouts in class. Owen is sitting by me in history. Sorry, not sorry. We fucking taken you down, bitch. That just like it doesn't make sense. That the bully knew Owen had removed the phone case Ashley had given him as a gift, and they tracked his whereabouts in class. That's very interesting. I'm going to leave it there because when I initially reviewed this, as I said in my last video, I said things that unintentionally re-victimized Lauren in a way that makes her sound like she was involved. In fact, that is what I insinuated, that at some point she had told her mom what was going on at school. Now, it's absolute. I'm not understanding the tracking of a phone case, right? Perhaps I'm behind on this. Perhaps there is a phone case tracker. Perhaps it's something that everybody knows about. But I'm very confused as someone who's frequently in the Find My Friends phone app, how Kendra at home would know what class Owen was in and what time, if when you're shown is a building and the dot just moves around. I feel very confused, and I'm not going to imply that Lauren was involved in helping her mom or collaborating with her mom, but I am at least going to be honest and say that that's strange. If somebody has a reason as for what they think, then you can add that. But adding that context, and I thought that when I watched the documentary, I thought that sometimes the messages were very descriptive about what was happening in that school. And that is confusing. Kendra could have sat on Owen's friends list on Snapchat as a different user, and they could have been posting Snapchats throughout the day where she saw it. But at the very least, I think that that's very strange. That's not going to be the point of this article, but I think that's strange. And I don't even think that Lauren was involved presently as I'm saying this. But how did Kendra have Owen's whereabouts that much? That's very concerning. Down to the fact of what room he was in, what kind of technology did Kendra have access to? Because that's very concerning. Continuing on. Owen sitting by me in history. Sorry, not sorry. We fucking take you down, bitch. They constantly changed numbers using burner apps, but Kendra and Jill had honed in on a possible suspect, Chloe Wilson, a popular freshman athlete who had played sports with Ashley since grade school. The previous night, a potential slip up, the bully gloated in a text about scoring 12 points in the basketball game. Potential slip up is crazy when Kendra was a scorekeeper. At the sheriff's urging, Kendra, who often ran varsity scoreboard, left the room to fetch the prior night's record. Only Chloe had 12 points. Well, imagine that, Kendra. Imagine how that happened. At a preliminary meeting with the sheriff's department many weeks prior, a detective had asked Jill if she feared that her son's mental state was bad enough that he might harm himself. She had watched Owen withering, talking back at home, looking miserable, pulling from a reserve of anger on the basketball court that she didn't recognize. But harm himself? Thankfully not. And what about Ashley? Kendra didn't speak. Jill recalls answering for her. The answer is yes, Kendra. We are afraid Ashley could hurt herself. Back in the principal's office, the sheriff said he'd start investigating, and the parents left the campus with renewed hope. Kendra's such a psychopathic bitch. Beale City, a farming community with 2 pubs and 1 flashing intersection, seemed like the last place on earth anyone could hide. The landscape is open and flat, broken into well-tended fields and dairies. Wind turbines churning overhead. Many of its families boast roots that stretch back generations. It's a place, it's probably racist. It's a place where, as one local said, you want to be perceived as a good person. Sounds about that Midwest nice, that white Midwest nice, AKA not nice. When a parent is diagnosed with cancer, you start a meal train and sell t-shirts that says nobody fights alone. You volunteer to ladle cheese onto nachos at the stadium concessions to help the sports boosters and send your kid to practice with extra cleats for the boy who needs some. You also terrorize the Planned Parenthood clinics, local marginalized people's restaurants, and, it doesn't say that. The heart of the town is its prized public school, a single brown brick complex, K through 12, with just 50 students per grade. I've always thought, by the way, that a school that has K through 12 is a recipe for disaster. I'll never forget some of the things that I heard when I was way too young on the bus on the way to school. And the older kids scared the shit out of me because the stuff I was hearing was stuff that little ears shouldn't always be hearing. And a lot of it was stuff that the older kids were saying intentionally to us. And I just remember thinking, even as a kid, that it felt wildly inappropriate and scary. Now, is it always that way? Probably not. I'm sure sometimes it's a very sweet experience, K through 12, but I see a lot of opportunities for that to be awful. Okay. With just 50 students per grade, a foyer decked in sports championship trophies, and a mural chirping character counts. The parents wanted the cyberbully to be outed and expelled. Most important, they wanted their happy, carefree children back. No one could have imagined that the hunt would stretch on 8 more exasperating months, or that on January afternoon at Beale City High, the bully had been sitting in that room. Dun, dun, dun. It's Kendra. It's Kendra. Here's the photo. JV Ho, never varsity, ugliest at HC, worthless, sucks, everyone better without, worst couple. Kendra said things to her daughter that she wanted to say to her in person, but wouldn't say. I'm not buying this Munchausen diagnosis. I don't think that she wanted to be the hero in her daughter's life. I think that she genuinely wanted to replace her daughter and live her daughter's life. And I believe that she is a pervert, a pedophile. I think she should be locked up. I think that she should have to wear a chastity belt. I think that she should never be allowed around children. I think she should be on a public offenders list. And I think she should never be allowed around a school ever again. All of those things I think are true because of Kendra's fixation and text message content. In the fall of 7th grade, Owen sent Ashley an Instagram DM. He had gotten his first cell phone only that year, one of the last kids in his grade without one. We're those parents, his mother said. Ashley, a softball and basketball player in his class, was delicately slim, tomboyish hoodies, tomboyish in hoodies and jerseys, and her blonde hair sometimes braided in an arch over her crown. She stood out, Owen remembered. Pretty, athletic, super kind. With classic seventh grade diplomacy, Owen had his friends tell Ashley that he liked her. After she came to his football game, I texted her literally that day. I'm like, "So are we dating?" Owen says. She's like, "I don't know. Do you want to be?" And I'm like, "Sure." Owen's parents, Dave and Jill McKenney, had also started dating in seventh grade. So that explains why his parents maybe didn't question the relationship. Like, I don't know. My dad was a pastor, so he was just very strict. With a boyfriend in seventh grade? Absolutely not. When I got brought home when I got a Valentine's Day gift from like my middle school and elementary boyfriends, me and my friends would eat all the candy. I would give the stuffed animals to someone else, and then I would go home. What boyfriend? What boyfriend? Because no. While he coached, blah, blah, blah. Let's go forward. Of course, locals concede that Beale City can be a tough place for transplants, that anyone who didn't go to the school or doesn't have one of the known last names will be considered not around here. We can tell. Told you, racist town. That's the vibe I'm getting. Let's see. Although Sean, I guess this is her father, was from Beale, he hadn't been part of the in crowd. A crowd of the family says. Okay, so they're thinking that it was important for Kendra to make sure that Ashley was. Okay. It's crazy because this article came out before the documentary. So this is all the way back in January. And at the time, none of them had agreed to be interviewed. But as we've seen now, Kendra was front and center, forward facing, if you will, in this documentary. So couldn't be further from how things are now. I'm taking a pause. I need to take my birth control. This article's stressing me out a little bit. Tell me in the chat what you guys think about this article so far. I see 17 of you watching. Get your phones out, get those fingers typing, and tell me what you're thinking. And if you're driving, don't. Oh my gosh. I feel so much better with cold water. Okay. Continuing along. Okay. Well, Ashley was on the quieter side. Her friends knew Kendra, her mother, as the outgoing, cool mom. At school events, she would approach a gaggle of students to gossip. Through softball, Ashley had befriended Paige and Natalie Antcliffe, fraternal twins, 3 years older, from a longtime Beale City family, and they'd film Kendra crossing her eyes, dancing to Sir Mix-a-Lot, cartwheeling down a hotel hallway on tournament weekends. To onlookers, it was clear that Ashley and Kendra were at the center of each other's lives. But by junior high, people observed that Kendra would brag about her daughter to the point of annoying other parents. Everything was Ashley's softball, Ashley's school, Ashley's this, Ashley's that, says one. After Ashley started dating Owen, her mother came along too. At every opportunity, Kendra would ask them to wrap their arms around each other for a photo, which Ashley would turn into presents for Owen like a personalized phone case. When they hung out at the Lakaris, Kendra would chime in, "Why don't you jump on the trampoline? Take a spin in Ashley's Ranger utility vehicle." Kendra talked about the kids, Jill says, like they were going to be together forever. Once Paige Antcliffe saw Kendra take Ashley's phone and read her daughter's texts with Owen. Then, as Ashley, Kendra typed out a reply, "I love you." That's fucking crazy. That is nuts. That is absolutely nuts. So she had a history of I bet you that she was logged in to I don't know why they keep calling her Ashley, but I'm going to keep calling her Lauren into Lauren's phone. Okay, scrolling down. Again, I have not read this article, so I just want to see which parts are relevant to read. Okay. It talks about how in 8th grade, Kendra signed up to coach Owen's track team, becoming, he says, like a second mom. A regular spectator at Owen's matches, she drove Ashley 3 hours across Michigan to watch one of his championship games. Once, Kendra even suggested turning Owen's tournament in Florida into a Lacari family vacation, to which Jill had to gently say, no, no. I don't want to be mean, but honestly, Owen's parents should have picked up more on what was going on too. Like, I don't want to point fingers because obviously the person who is to blame is Kendra, but Owen's parents should have used a lot more discernment and had a lot more conversations with their son about whether he felt uncomfortable or not. And maybe that can be a lesson for parents after watching this, to have more questions about the adults in their life as well, not just about the little boyfriend or little girlfriend whose house they're hanging out with. But this is all extremely concerning. Okay. And I said before, Owen's parents, the refusal to get him a new phone number or to just get him a new phone to try to lessen the amount of things happening, that was already a red flag. Okay, so we already know for a year, I'm skipping forward, the texter remained silent. Then in the fall of 2020, when they were in 8th grade, Owen and Ashley got more messages. It is obvious he wants me. His attention is constantly on me. Not sure what he told you, but he is coming to the Halloween party and we are both DTF. He wants nothing to do with you. He thinks you're annoying and an ugly ass bitch and wishes you would leave him the F alone. Why do you think he is on his phone all the time texting me? You didn't get invited to sleep with him. I did. I'm spending the night with him. I'm sharing a bed with him, not you. Kendra's obsessed. Kendra's obsessed. You know what? I actually don't even think I can stomach any more of this. It's been an hour and 6 minutes. I think my throat is chapped. I don't think I realized how long this cut article is. I'm looking to see that I'm only halfway through. LOL, not a shot. Not a shot. I'm going to have to come back to read the rest of this cut article at a separate time. For now, this was a lot for us to digest and process, anyways. We talked about Taylor Frankie Paula's Bachelorette. We talked about some of this cut article. Don't pay the dollar to read it unless you want to sit there and feel horrified. I think I'm also going to listen to the article before I come back. That way I have more notes, because this whole read it together live thing, this is pretty traumatic. Like, a lot of this information is a lot. Before I go, did anybody see the MTV show Awkward? I never got into watching that show, but I do know a lot of my friends watched it. And so I'm like sort of roughishly familiar with the cast. Please put in the comments what we need to know about the show Awkward. Everybody, have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Please like the live before you exit the stream, and know that I'll be back and with a saved up voice to talk about more. Bye. Oh my God, stop. Wait. The mom catfished her daughter too on that show. Whoa. Maybe I'll have to watch Awkward. Haven't seen Awkward. Haven't seen Glee. Wow. White moms. If you know a girl named Kendra, no, you don't. Now is the last month that you know her. Let's end with that. Cut out every woman named Kendra. We've got Kendra, the therapist, obsessed. We've got Kendra, the daughter, obsessed. Both of them can go. Everybody have an amazing rest of your Wednesday.